Assalamu alaikum. Dear students, hope that you all are well. Today I am going to start a very beginning class or fundamental class of accounting. And this class is for the students of 9 and 10 and for the beginners of SSC or intermediate candidate as well as for those students who are from the different backgrounds and who are running their graduation like undergrad level. This is all the chapters based on the foundation will be covered in this class. So first of all, today what we are going to discuss about today. Let's have a look. This is what we are going to discuss on today. First of all, transaction identification process of transaction. For the beginners, you should remember that in the beginning of your books there is a listed name like equation or accounting equation. Anyone, any name can be mentioned in your book. So this is regarding this topic, accounting equation. First of all, you have to determine is it a transaction or not. Inshallah, after a while, we are going to discuss elaborately on this topic. Then second option, accounting equation. Effects of transactions on the accounting equation. Then classification of account and practices regarding equation. After that, journal or rules of debit and credit and its recording process and practices. By serially, one by one, you will be given these classes, sir. But this is the foundation class, and it's, you can say this is the fundamental class of accounting. For any background, you can easily enjoy this class. Then the ledger and practices, then trial balance and practices, limitations of trial balance, then errors and their rectifications and practices. But today, we are going to start a very beginning class. This is regarding equation. But as a beginner, first of all, you have to get what is the difference between transaction and event. Try to get this one, sir. Transaction versus events. In the accounting recording process, we always calculate or record the transactions, not events. Why? There are the differences between transaction and event. First of all, as it is an equivalent regarding accounting practices, I think I should start from this one, events. What do you mean by events? Event means any activities, whatever you are doing. Now I am talking. If I explain any story, that should be considered as an event. If you are playing in the ground, that should be considered it's an event. You are reading now, this also you can identify as it's an event. But in the accounting recording process, we don't even calculate events because there is no relation between accounting and its recording process, especially on events. So, what is the function of the transaction? Basic sense, if I say or if I define transactions, transactions means giving or receiving something. What we have learned? Giving or receiving something is mostly regarded as transaction. According to the definition of accounting or the recording process of accounting, we should remember this one. To give something or to receive something is mostly regarded as transaction. But in case of the accounting, the meaning is totally different. You have to consider based on this one. There must have minimum two parties. In case of accounting, you should remember that there must have minimum two parties and changing financial condition of the business or of the organization. This is the basic tool of recording the transactions. How easy you can easily identify. According to the definition, if I define transactions, that means giving or receiving something. Okay, you have your friend on the occasion of his or her birthday. If you present any gift, that means there must have two parties. You can see one is you. For example, if I say my name is what you can say Jiko and I have a friend like what is his name Kamal. On the occasion of Kamal's birthday, if I offer him a watch as a birthday gift which worth is taka 10,000, is it a transaction? Obviously not, because before doing that you should have also a very good idea what exactly, what for we are exactly recording? Sir, business and owner. You need to get this one. Most of the students have an idea like that owner and business all are similar, because whatever is earned in the business, the whole money or profit is captured by the owner. That's why we believe that business and owner similar. What do you think? Businesses and owner are similar, but it is a totally misconception, because according to the principles of GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles, owner and business both are totally separated from each other. They are totally separate entity. What types of transactions we mostly record for? On the side of the business, not on the side of the owner. So again, I have said what I have said. Most of the transactions are mostly recorded based on the business concerns, not the owner. So I didn't mention like any events. What I have mentioned? I have mentioned transaction. That's why, according to the business sense, whatever you are giving or something that doesn't relevant to your business or organization, you can't define as it's a transactions. Like what I have said as an example, if I offer my friend any gift on his special birthday, that won't be considered as a business, because we are just dealing with our friendship goals. It's not relevant to any business organization. You can see there must have these two transactions, minimum two parties. Okay, party one is especially myself. The second one is Kamal. Fine, we have got two parties, but changing the financial condition of the organization or business, it's my personal accounting process, that what I am exactly recording. So how can we define that it's a transactions? In these events, there isn't any changes of the financial condition of the business. That's why we can't say it's a transactions. Is it clear, sir? For example, you have a garden where you produce different types of vegetables. You don't sell them to the local market. You have just produced only for your own consumption. Try to get this point. You are just producing these goods only for your own consumption, as you can have it, as you can consume it or consume them. So how can it be a transaction? First, there is no existence of the two parties. You are producing your own products. That means if you produce for yourself, there is no buyer. So this condition is not filled up in these transactions, as you don't sell it to the local market, so you can't say it's a transactions. There must have the changing of the financial condition of the business. So according to the business concept, how can usually we identify as a transactions? To be a transactions, there must have two conditions, obviously, that should be filled up. The first one, minimum two parties. More than parties can be existed in the business, buyer, seller, supplier, whatever, three or four parties maybe existed, but minimum there should have two parties. One is buyer, another one is obviously seller. That's why. And you should always consider on the side of the business. Again, I am saying what we are going to record in the accounting, that should be always considered on the side of the business. What is the business transactions or business based information, that should be only recorded here. Is it clear, sir? So how we can easily identify? There are two characteristics or two conditions that you need to remember to identify a transaction. So we should do some practices. Again, I am saying you should always consider, as we are recording all the transactions of the business, not for myself, because I am totally separated from the business. Whenever you are going to do any transactions, you should always think on the side of the yourself. For example, if I say the company name is Korim Traders, Korim Traders, it's my business organization. Just imagine that it's me, it's my organization. If I pay anything, that means my organization is paying. Just assume that it's your own organization. Always think on your own side. Imagine you are recording all the transactions based on the accounting process. That's why you should always think of the business sides. Invested taka 20,000 in the cash in the business. It's my business. What I have said, Korim Traders. Okay, fine. Try to get this one. Korim Traders. Like it's my business organization's name. But We know that owner is totally different from the organization. But owner invested 20,000. Try to get this one. Minimum two parties should be existed in the business. Here you can see one is the owner, second one is the Korean traders. It's my organization's name or my business name. Is it clear, sir? So the second one, obviously, changing the financial condition of the business. You can see what I have received. I am calculating all the transactions on the side of the business. What is my business name? Korean Traders. Because of the investment of the owner, Korean Traders received 20,000 taka. That means my cash has increased. Again, I am saying whatever I am recording here, this all on the based on the business sides. Korean Traders is my organization's name. So that means changing of the financial condition can be noticed here. Two parties also already existed here. So it's a transaction. Again, I am saying, sir, to identify transaction, you don't have to worry about at all. What you will have to do? Try to get this one. Only you should remember these two characteristics. The first one, every events or transactions must have minimum two parties and obviously changing the financial condition of the organization or business, not owner anything. What I have said, organizations or business. You can see because of the investment of money, we can see our cash condition of the business has changed. That's why it says transaction. Paid taka 1,500 for June rent on office space. You can see because of the payment of office space. How about my cash situation of the business? It will be increased or decreased. Currently just imagine I have 20,000 taka cash and I have to pay how much? 1,500 taka. That means that indicates the reduction of cash payment. Obviously, there is a changes you can notice in the business organization. Obviously, it's a transaction because there are two parties. One is the landowner to whom I'm going to pay, and the second option. What was the second condition? Changing the financial condition of the business. It is already changed. That's why we can say it's also a transaction. Is it clear, sir? Purchased machines taka 9,000 on credit, on account, and outstanding. All are similar, sir. What I have said, on credit, on account, outstanding. That means all these transactions are based on accrual principle. What do you mean by accrual principle? You can say there are two types of transactions we can easily see. The first one is the cash transactions, and the second one is on account transaction. That means you haven't paid anything. You have provided services or you have received something as a based on the accrual basis. That means you have to pay today or tomorrow. You may receive today or tomorrow. You haven't get any cash receipt. That means in short you can say non-cash. So it is not a big deal at all here because you have to think what Korean Traders is receiving. Processed machines. Machines is an asset. Machines is an asset. We are going to explain later how usually do you identify asset, liability, and equity. All of them, inshallah, we are going to discuss one after another. Just try to get this one. What I have received? Machine. That means the value of 9,000 taka has increased due to the purchase of the machines. That means there must have a changes in the business organization. So we can say it's a transaction. Paid expenses, salaries taka 12,000, telephone taka 600. You can say because of this payment, how about my cash situation? My cash amount will be decreased. That indicates the changing of the financial condition of the business. So it's also a transaction. Is it clear, sir? When it's time to identify between a transaction or events, I am using just only two techniques. The first one is I am trying to figure out two parties, and second option, changing the financial condition of the business. Whenever these two conditions are filled up here at the time, we are going to recognize as it's a transaction. Charged depreciation on machine taka 2,000. Is it a transaction or events? You have to define this one. You can say there are you can say transactions might behave in different ways. There are some transactions which are visible or tangible. That means which you can see, which you can touch. And there are some transactions which are invisible or untouched, which we mostly recognize as intangible. There are some things that you can't touch, but it is considered as an intangible. Charged depreciation on machine taka 2000. Okay, you can see here what is the purchase value of the machine, 9000 taka. After 1 year, machine there causes the reduction of the amount, that is called depreciation. What do you mean by depreciation? Depreciation mostly indicates the reduction of any valuable assets because of repeatedly uses these goods or services. Assume that you have a mobile. Whenever you have purchased, you have to pay 40,000. Just after 1 year, if you try to sell them to anyone, obviously you are not going to get 40,000, whatever you have purchased 1 year earlier. There must be a reduction of the your value, you can see. Like any buyer may offer you 25,000, 26,000. That means the reduction of the 14,000. Why? That is called depreciation. The decrement of the value of because of using again and again, the reduction amount should be considered as depreciation. So because of the depreciation, what exactly it affects in the transaction process? It mostly reduces the income or increases the expenses. That means reduces income means my business income, increases expenses means my business's expenses. Both are totally connected to the financial transactions. That's why, sir, it should be considered as a transactions. Again, I'm saying you may have some problems. Even, sir, it's not visible. Yeah, there are some things you can't see, but it is also considered like in this way. In the business, everything, it might be visible or invisible, should be always considered and recorded. There is no way of escaping this one. The owner of the organization lost his personal taka 50,000 yesterday. Now try to get this one. Again, there are minimum two parties. What is our first condition? Minimum, there must have two parties. And changing the financial condition of the business. Changing the financial condition, what for what? Of business, not owner. What I have said? Financial condition of the business. Try to guess this one. Imagine I am the owner of Korim Traders. In the accounting system, we usually record or keep recording all the transactions based on the business side. But I am the owner of the business. Somehow, I have lost 50,000 taka from my personal wallet. Because of these transactions, can you see any changes in these two elements? Like minimum two parties. As it is not a business transaction, obviously there is no parties at all. It is my personal. It is not relevant to the business at all. And second option, changing the financial condition of the business. If I am the owner of the business, as you know that owner and business is totally separate from each other. So there is no way of connecting anything. If I lost from my personal wallet, that should not be considered as a transaction. Do you know why? Because there is no changes we can see in the business organization. Because of these transactions, there is no increment or decrement amount of the business organizations can't be noticed. That's why it's not a transactions. That's why it's not a transaction. Is it clear to you, sir? The first one you have to get what is transactions and what is not transactions. Then you can get whatever, inshallah, we are going to discuss one by one. A manager has been appointed with 30,000 monthly salary. Try to get this key point here. Has been appointed. Here we haven't been mentioned anything like that. The manager has been paid. Has been paid means already you have paid to him. You have paid to your employees, but you have appointed. You have appointed in your organization a manager and you have allotted him for 30,000 monthly salary. That means you have just only recruited him. You haven't paid any single money. So because of these transactions, we can see that there is no changes of any financial transaction of the business. So it's not a transaction. Again, I'm saying you have just appointed. Appointed means recruited. You have an employee. On that day, if I employ any of my worker by saying that from the next month you are going to get 30,000 as your salary, and you will get it from my business organizations. Now try to get. We have just given some words. We haven't paid anything. That's why it's no transactions, because there is no changes of any financial condition of the business. So how can you easily identify the transactions? This is the basic part of the transaction. Again, I am saying it is the foundation of the accounting. You have to get this one. Only by using these two techniques, you can easily identify is it a transactions or not. Is it clear, sir?